Hello everyone and welcome to Bittersweet Theory. Today's theory is about Five Nights at Freddie's, the game where it's nearly impossible to solve what's going on. If you're unfamiliar with FNAF, please check out these amazing channels that have put so much work into figuring out the timeline of the games that helped me with my theory. I have struggled a lot with myself on whether or not to do this theory because it is different from a lot of theories that are already out there. Before I get started on this theory, I want to disclose the fact that I have not read any of the books. Why? To be honest, a lack of time and money. So, moving forward, I have a general idea of what happens in the books, but I haven't been able to make my own theory with them. Now, I have to explain what started this theory in the first place because I was happy with what game theory had put together for the longest time. In Sister Location, we see blueprints of the Funtime animatronics with images where kids would be stored in tanks inside the animatronics as an early prototype to what we see in Security Breach Landmark Freddy. Now, in Security Breach, Landmark Freddy warns Gregory that he is not allowed inside the hatch because it is dangerous. Now, whether you believe Gregory is a robot or not, he is safe inside Freddy and uses him to get around the Pizzaplex. To me, this means that William Afton created the Funtime animatronics as a prototype to what Landmark Freddy would be in order to keep kids from getting hurt. Another thing I started to question was William's motive to kill all of the kids. If you think about it, it doesn't really make sense for him to start killing kids when we know in FNAF 4 he promised to put his son, the crying child, back together. You can't have it both ways. Either he's a loving father, dedicating his life's work to his kids, or he's a crazy child murderer. So, here's my theory. What if I told you that Micheal Afton was the killer all along? My theory is that Michael and the crying child saw their sister Elizabeth Afton get scooped by a baby. That is why the crying child is scared of all the animatronics. Now, on the day that it happened, Michael was supposed to be the one watching the two of them at Circus Baby's Pizza World before it opened. And he is trying to keep his brother quiet about what happened by scaring him. Okay, I know that is a lot to take in, so let me explain why I think this theory is true. We know that Mrs. Afton, the mother figure of the family, is not around in the franchise. There are some theories out there that tie her to Ballora based off the things she says in Sister Location and Ultimate Custom Night. All I see is an empty room, no joy, an empty tomb. It's so good to sing all day. My take on it is that she has already passed away before this point in the franchise, and Ballora is Afton's own odd way of remembering her. Either way, William is a single father during this time, and he and Henry are building the business we know as Freddy Fazbear's. During that time, William has made his own business called Afton Robotics to create a sister location called Circus Baby's Pizza World. This is where Afton was able to experiment with ideas that were more kid-friendly. The phone guy in FNAF 2 talks about how Funtime Foxy was created, then put into Pirates Cove for toddlers to pull apart and put back together. I believe that Elizabeth Afton was one of the first kids to interact with this idea due to the fact that you see parts of Mangle in her room in FNAF 4. With this evidence, we can conclude that Elizabeth was used to being up close and personal with animatronics. This is where Circus Baby's Pizza World comes into play. In Sister Location, we hear Elizabeth's voice talking to William, asking him why she can't go play with Baby. So, as William is working on launching circus babies, he brings his kids to the location with him, where Micheal is tasked with looking after his brother and sister. So, at some point in time, Elizabeth gets scooped by baby. Micheal and the crying child watch it happen. This is why the crying child is scared of all the animatronics, and is also why the crying child sees the nightmare animatronics with odd-looking stomachs. After that day, William is determined to find out what really happened to his daughter. Using the sister location bunker, he sets up cameras and uses a Fredbear to talk to his youngest son. The main point I want to make here is that William is spending most of his time in this bunker location to spy on his son. So the purple guy we see in FNAF 4 helping someone into a Freddy suit is just an employee. William can't be in two places at once. As William uses the plush toy to talk to his son, he is getting close to the truth. Micheal finds out what is going on, and the day before the crying child's party, he locks him in the spare room at Freddys' family diner. Then on the day of his birthday, Micheal and his friends hoist the crying child up to scare him, but the crying child ends up in the mouth of Fredbear. All of his tears cause the jaw of the animatronic to malfunction, snapping shut around him, but it does not kill him right away. Now the crying child is broken to the point where he can't say anything. At this point, William has two kids who have been victims of accidents. One accident being caused by the animatronics that he built, and the other being caused by one that his business partner built. They do their best to make the newer toy animatronics safer. Depressed about the events that have happened, William starts drinking at Junior's bar and gets into his car and starts driving at high speeds. We see this in the Midnight Motorist minigame. Here is the part where the puppet and the crying child come into place. I think when we first see the crying child outside of Freddy Fazbear's, this is the crying child from FNAF 4. When we see the puppet minigame of the child outside, it is Henry's daughter. So it's two different kids dying two different ways, they just look similar. I believe in Midnight Motorist, William was driving and accidentally hit Henry's daughter with his car. Why? Because we only see the tire tracks. There are no footprints to prove that someone got out of the car like we see in the other minigame. Also, that night in Midnight Motorist, William is orange. When we see the crying child die, the killer gets out of the car and kills him in front of the window, then leaves. Henry's daughter was probably trying to find another way back inside, and she got sideswiped by the car, then was left to bleed out. I also wanted to point out that in the puppet minigame, it is raining just like in Midnight Motorist. And when we see the crying child die, it's not raining outside. So when the crying child dies, it is outside of Freddys' family diner. And when Henry's daughter dies, she is killed at the second Freddys location, I believe. It is the second location. Moving on. In Midnight Motorist, we can choose to go to William's house, or we can go to a large clearing where there is a small grave that can be found. This is where I think Mike buried Elizabeth's body. Knowing that there are 3 kids and clearly one is dead, it would make sense that it's her grave. Also, I think Mike buried her due to the fact that there is no headstone to mark her grave if she was to have a proper funeral. When we follow William to his house, we see that the crying child has escaped. Also, we see Micheal sitting in front of the same TV that we see in Sister Location, which leads me to believe that this could be the same house, mostly because all of the windows in the outside suggest the house is bigger than what we're really seeing. We see footsteps outside of the broken window, and we also see a massive animal footprints. I think this is Micheal using the stitch-up rabbit suit that we see in FNAF VR to keep scaring his brother and keep him quiet. There is a problem with this plan, though. Each time the crying child escapes, it makes their father even more angry, and he can't get the answers about what happened to their sister. Finally, Mike makes the choice to end the crying child's life to keep what he had done covered up. So he follows his brothers to Freddie's family diner and ends his life. Given the fact that his brother is already injured from being crushed by Freddie, William would probably believe that the crying child died due to complications from his injuries when he is found and taken to a hospital. Now that his brother was gone, Mike could finally rest. Everything was now over. Only it wasn't. There would be witnesses to what happened to his brother, and if he wanted to stay out of trouble, he had to tie up the loose ends. Starting with his friends that helped him shove his brother into Freddie's mouth. As I was going over research for the theory, I noticed something that was a bit odd. There seemed to be two different types of bodies throughout the minigames. Some of them were small and resembled the crying child, and the others were much larger and seemed to be slumped over. And the Give Them Life puppet game, you can see the puppet is putting the heads of Freddie, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, the same masks that Michael's friends were wearing in the Freddy Fazbear's location. Then in this minigame, we see the crying child's party, and all of the guests are wearing masks that resemble the mediocre melodies. These were all of Michael's victims. The mediocre melodies being the kids that were supposed to be at his brother's party, and all of the other kids wearing the masks of Freddie, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy were his friends. To keep track of Mike throughout the games, it was a whole lot easier for me to look at all of the 8-bit versions of the purple guy. The first image is Mike killing his brother outside of Fredbear's family diner. The second image is the one of the employee mistaken for Mike or William, but this can't be the case because we see this version of the purple guy in FNAF 4. In that game, William is in Sister Location Bunker. Michael is running around scaring his brother. He is a normal employee. He's also not the phone guy due to the fact that he's at the first Freddy's location, and phone guy makes a reference to that, I believe, in the FNAF 2 game. The next time we see Michael is the Pirate's Cove killing his friends that helped him on his brother's birthday. This is where we see the larger bodies. After that, for the next image, he is working as a security guard to lure the kids away during the day, then takes apart the suits at night with no one around to stuff them inside. After Michael has killed everyone, he goes to find the Sister Location Bunker, where he is scooped by Innard pretending to be his sister's spirit trapped inside of Baby. From there, he is infused with Remnant, due to the fact that a few days after he has been scooped and Innard leaves his body, Michael is still alive. Now he needs more Remnant to survive and goes back to Freddy's and is confronted by the ghosts of the kids he killed along with his brother's spirit. He runs to the spring trap. He runs to the spring lock suit and then starts laughing at them. The spring locks fail due to the fact that the building is old and there's lots of water on the floor. Mike then bleeds out on the floor. Now there's something else I wanted to point out about Springtrap, or Mike Trap at this point. is that we know that all of the other animatronics are possessed by kids at some point, and some of them have kids even stuffed inside of them, but none of them looked like Springtrap. I believe that due to the fact that Micheal had come in contact with Remnant is the reason why he's able to keep coming back. That his physical body fused with the suit to the point that he is able to keep coming back no matter how many times he is killed. Just like Baby said, he won't die. Thank you everybody so much for watching. Leave a comment down below letting me know what you think. If this video does well, I will continue the theory and try to see if I can tie it into Help Wanted and Security Breach. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons. And until next time, it's been bittersweet.